Hey guys, welcome to the Killing the Tea podcast. This is Gare,
And Kate.
and we are going to be discussing all things chills, thrills, and kills. Kate and I are going to be talking about our favorite books, TV shows, and movies that are in the thriller or crime fiction genre, as well as some reading habits and other items related to how we met on Bookstagram that will fit in with this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have fun and get totally terrified. And now I'm reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I'm loving that too.
Oh, nice.
There was a very scandal dandle scene that I just read before I like hopped on here, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have the air conditioner on, hair's gonna be blowing in the wind. And Kate's gonna be like, are you okay? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, in my book, something really, really action packed and exciting just happened too. But I can't give spoilers.
Oh, that's right. Damn them. Because you're still reading Hellbent, correct?
hmm Yeah, I'm at like 81%.
I love how we like found out at the same time, like you're like, oh my God, you know what? Like fantasy suspense really works for me. And I'm like, you know what
Yeah.
works for me? Hockey romance.
You did. You found another niche.
Oh my God, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. And like I just it doesn't matter if it's like male male hockey romance or like female male hockey romance.
Yeah. You just like the hockey boys.
I just love me a hockey. And like every
I
time they
get it.
describe them, they're like he's tall and like thick bodied and he's got like these big hands and they're just grabbing things and doing things and I'm just like, "Oh my goodness. Hockey's where it's at apparently."
It sounds like it. So if
Hmm.
anyone has great fantasy suspense recommendations or hockey romance recommendations, throw them our way.
Yeah. Yeah. Start with hockey romance.
You start with that one first, though.
Kate's TBR is bigger than mine.
I have plenty to read. You guys don't have to worry about me.
I just love how I'm like literally like January was like a little rough for me. Like I read 15 books, but they didn't all like hit as much as
Yeah.
I wanted them to. Um, but like February's like all over the place. Like I read like the literary thriller by Tiffany McDaniel and loved
hmm
it. And then I'm like, hockey romance. And then I'm like, ooh, literary thriller, hockey romance. Ooh, like something like cheesy or an
You're
easy
just
popcorn thriller, hockey romance.
you're just cycling through.
I do. I do. But speaking of things we love,
Hmm.
I have an icebreaker that's going to blow your mind.
I'm ready.
I don't know why I turned that up. That's a little too bright. There we go. Okay. So you are given a budget and you get to come up with either like an elevator pitch or a general plot to whatever book you want to read. And you can pick one author, unlimited budget. Who do you pick to write your ultimate like book? Like, and it could be any subgenre. So like if you want like a spy thriller, or
hmm
if like for me, obviously it would be like a serial killer thriller, dark
Right.
academia, you know.
Yeah.
So who would it be?
The first answer that came to mind, especially when you said no budget, it made me think of like the most cinematic books I've read. Or no. You meant budget as they're writing the book, not a budget for. I was going a different direction. Hold on. I was going budget to turn it into a TV series, so I'll just start that answer all over again.
I mean, either or.
I know now I'm like, what would I want even just for a book?
Even
Well,
if you don't know like what like you would want it to be about, like you could
mhm,
just like picture like whatever book you would be like, this is something that could be my favorite book in the entire world. Like, who would you pick to write it? But you're the one that can come up with the plot. Like, you can tell
oh,
them, like, hey, you're going to write a book about this, this, and this.
okay. I think I would want Blake Crouch to write like a series.
Mm.
that is kind of futuristic. Um, what would keep the series together? But I would love to see him write in a series form that
Mhm.
I could like really get into. That's kind of like the structure of my new favorite fantasy suspense genre.
There you go. I love it.
I think that's what I would want
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
Yeah.
It could change, but that sounds right up your alley.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if
What?
she's gonna pick like Lead Bardugo because you're like
Uh-huh.
so much into like Ninth House and Hellbent.
I am. I would pay a lot. I would, with a big budget, I would want to get access to the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in Goodreads as Untitled, but there is another one in the series on Goodreads.
Hmm. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I don't know if it was you that I mentioned it to, but like I
Mm-hmm.
was wondering if it's going to be a trilogy or if it's going to be like a longer series.
I know. I want to know.
I know. I know what you do. I was like, I created a little monster, but I love it.
Like a real monster. I am so obsessed.
I love it.
And I'm searching Yale and New Haven and Connecticut so much that H&M put a really cool Yale crew neck in front of me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need that because the Alex Stern series is my whole personality now. And they didn't have my size. So no
But like
Yale.
I feel like if you search it, you could find it
Oh yeah.
anywhere.
I
You
can
can
find
find it.
another one.
Yeah. I always search Etsy for things like that.
Yeah. That's a good point. I do have some shirts and stuff from there too.
Yeah. Um, I think I would have E.G. Scott do like
Definitely.
do like a trilogy, like a serial killer
Yeah.
trilogy.
They would that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like with them, I love how they have the different character perspectives in their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with like a trilogy, like you could really like dive into secondary characters. So I would definitely have them do like a serial killer trilogy with like not only like the detective's perspective, but like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what Caitlin Mullen did with Please See Us, where you have like the
Mm-hmm.
victim's perspective, like family members and stuff like that. Because I feel
Yeah.
like they could really like build this huge story and it would be
Yeah, I
really
think they
good.
could.
Yeah.
Kind of like Broadchurch. Broadchurch is a little bit like that.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but
I
yeah.
know. It's a TV show.
I'm just stuck in my ways.
That's
I
okay.
finished the first season of Only Murders in the Building though, and I really liked it.
It is just like cute and quirky
Not
and
too
fun.
scary. It doesn't scare me too
Yeah.
much.
No,
I've like
it's not
had like
scary.
so many sleepless nights because of the Idaho case, and I keep like seeing things. And so I'm like, oh my God, like now I can finally just watch like Ginny and Georgia or something that doesn't give me nightmares.
Probably a good idea for you
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
had I had some of the darkest dreams and scariest dreams I've had in a really long time. And like I was reading about like going to hell before going to bed. So I brought it on myself.
I had a horrifying dream the other night, but
Mhm.
when I woke up, I was like, I'm really proud of Dream Gare
Yeah.
because he was doing the most. I had a dream that I heard somebody break into my house
Uh-huh.
and
That
I
was
woke
mine.
up. Really?
Mm-hmm. They just kept trying to kill us over and over and over again.
So in my dream, I was like in my bed and I heard the noise and I like knew
Mm-hmm.
that somebody was there and I like went to grab my phone, but my like bedroom door like flew open.
Mm.
Dark figure comes at me and like he starts. I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna say like how brutal it was, but like he basically this dude starts killing me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was yelling out in my phone, having Siri text my friend Nicole, and I was telling her everything. Like I was
Wow.
like 6'1",
Oh,
tall, like I was telling her like everything I could like describe this man that was attacking me. Like
yeah.
I was like texting it to her, like with like I was like
Uh-huh.
yelling it out to Siri to text her,
Yeah.
so that like they could find my murderer because I knew I was gonna die.
I mean, good for you though.
I was like, I
You're
woke
gonna
up and I was
take
like,
that
that was,
motherfucker down with
I was like,
you.
that was fucking terrifying. But also, like, what a bad bitch move. Like,
Fuck
some
yeah.
people are getting murdered and they're like, woe is me. And I was like, fuck no. Like, this motherfucker's coming down with me if I don't take
You're
him
like,
out.
this is not how I go down.
Mm-mm. I was
That's
like, I
pretty
might,
epic.
yeah, I was really proud of my little crime self. But then I woke up and I was like, okay, like, that was a really quick thinking, but like, let's just never have that happen.
Yeah, let's like not manifest
Let's
it.
not get murdered. Yeah, because there's
Oh,
just too many books to read.
way too many.
Way too many books, way too many things, big things happening in the world right now
Yeah.
to cover up and help people deal with some of this ugliness.
Yeah.
One of which they just announced that they're making another I Know What You Did Last Summer movie.
Yes.
Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. are in talks to return. So I'm loving this.
Oh yeah.
Nothing's taking me down until I see this movie.
No, I don't think it can.
I've always wanted it to be a trilogy, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my moment. Like, this is my moment to shine because they did this with um, like bringing back Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis, bringing back Scream
Mhm.
with like the surviving whatever. So I'm like, this is
Right.
the time. This is the time to do it.
It is.
And I'm just so pumped. So good things are
Yes.
happening.
I know. Did you just fall over when you saw the news?
I was like, okay, I make dream posters
Mm-hmm.
sometimes for books that I really enjoy. Like if it was going to be a movie, this is what I would picture the poster being like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Last winter, I made an imaginary poster
Oh.
for I Will Never Forget What You Did That Summer with like the idea of having this new cast and having like Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Brandy like coming back in like smaller roles like what they did with Scream. So I feel like I manifested it.
I think you did.
I think I
It
did.
sounds like it.
So I think I manifested it.
I think you did.
And
Good for
that's my like
you.
rose of the week, I guess we'll say. Do you
Yeah.
have like a rose and a thorn or whatever? I don't have a thorn
Oh
right
yeah.
now, except for getting
Mm-hmm.
murdered in my dreams.
That's pretty thorny.
That yeah, that kind of sucked a little bit until I woke up and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, you're
It's
like a
pretty
bad
terrible.
bitch, even if you're getting murdered. I was like, ew, how annoying.
It is though. When you're like, I'm just trying to sleep.
Yeah, just let me freaking sleep. I do not
Yeah.
sleep hardly at all. Like I am a horrible sleeper.
Right.
I could probably go somewhere and they'd be like, you literally have insomnia. But
Probably.
I just want to sleep. I don't want to get murdered in my sleep.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
I'm just happy for you though, because when a book gives you a nightmare, even if it's a nightmare instead of a
Yeah.
dream, it's like, damn, like I'm really wrapped up in this. Like it
Yes.
you got your money's worth if a book gives
Oh
you a
yeah.
nightmare.
And actually, I
Ooh.
didn't even have to pay for that book because it's on Kindle Unlimited.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? That sounds like a really good segue into what we're going to be talking about. It's not all just bad
Yeah.
dreams and
Just
resurfacing
bad
90s horror
dreams.
movies. Yeah, so you messaged me. Did somebody tell you we should do this or was this your idea?
I saw it on just like someone asked somewhere on Facebook, like, hey, what Kindle Unlimited books can I read? Like, I'm burning through books. I need to read ones on Kindle Unlimited. And I was like, ooh, that's an episode.
Or two. We
Or
never
two,
know.
or three, or
Or
maybe we'll do one
four.
every month.
Maybe this is just our personalities.
Yeah, that's true. Just unlimited.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. The thing that I like about this is because it was really easy and fun to um research like what books to talk about.
Hmm.
Because there are so many books on Kindle Unlimited though, I feel like it's going to be amazing if we have any in common.
I know.
because there's so many to choose from.
There are.
A ton.
Mm-hmm.
I researched for, I'm not even gonna lie to you, an hour and a half the other day.
I might have spent an hour total
I was just like
over a couple
cruising
days.
along.
Yeah,
Oh God, what an adventure. What an
I
adventure.
know.
I am gonna say, because it's not one of my books, it's not one of my picks, because everyone's gonna be like, oh, predictable, but like Jar of Hearts is on Kindle Unlimited.
It's in my
So
like bottom of my list because I was like, I mean, we need to say it, we need to mention it, let the people know, but they know what we're
it's
talking about.
it's my honorable mention, but I was like,
Yeah,
okay, Jar of Hearts.
I mean, that's a really
Everybody
good book
knows
that's on Kindle Unlimited.
if I could get I would honestly pay $100 to or more to relive that initial first reading experience of that book because it meant so
Yeah.
much to me and it was so good. So like
Yes.
if you can get Jar of Hearts on Kindle Unlimited for free and have that experience, then like
Do it.
you're in for a treat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
They
but that's
are.
not one of my but that's not one of my
Yeah.
picks. I feel like next week I'm gonna like pop on and be like, okay, I have a special announcement. I got a Jar of Hearts tattoo.
And I'm just gonna be like, fuck yeah.
And Jennifer Hillier is like, I blocked you on social media because no one got a Jar of
She's like,
Hearts
I am
tattoo.
now basing a character around you.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
That would
I would
be.
love like I know this is like sick, but like I saw this interview with Sarah Michelle Gellar from like the 90s where she was like, I was in all these
Mm-hmm.
horror movies and I had them kill me because like I was like, what's the point of being in a horror movie if you don't get like this really like crazy horrific death?
Right.
Because like obviously you don't want that to happen in real life, so you get to like do it in a
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's how I feel about books. Like I'm just like waiting for one of my author friends to like brutally murder me in a book. And
It's out there, everybody.
Jennifer Hillier would definitely it would not be an accidental death. It would be something crazy brutal because she is like the queen of like unsettling and gritty.
Yeah, she is.
Love
She
her.
really is.
So,
So Jar of Hearts is on there.
mm-hmm,
Go read it if you haven't.
yeah. And then we're gonna have Kate kick it off because Kate the Great.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I have a feeling about this episode. You want to know
that's
why?
good. I think. Yes, I do want to know why.
Because I feel like every time your hair looks this amazing, your like creativity really flies out and you're like just bam, bam, bam with the recommendations.
Well, thank you. It's having a good day. I've noticed all day long.
Having a
I'm
good
like,
day. There's like literal light beams
nice.
coming out of it.
I know. It's that awesome ring light.
No, it's not. Mine's like blinding me. Nobody's paying any attention to my hair. I'm gonna have
Nobody
sunglasses.
is like, like we are, and like everyone else is like they have hair. And we're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, they have hair. Yeah. I actually got my hair cut for the first time in over a
I
month yesterday
know. Do
because
you
of my
feel just
stupid
like
vertigo.
calm AF?
She was like, your hair is so long. And I
You're
literally
like,
told her, I was like, I only missed one appointment. But like, I literally feel like you see those people on like I Survived who like got into a plane crash and like lived on like a raccoon diet in like the woods for like 3 years. And they came out
yeah.
looking better than I did when I walked into my hairdressers yesterday. Like, I walked in and they were like, this boy needs help.
Oh my
Brutal.
gosh. That was savage.
I was like, did I have vertigo for like a week or did I like live in the woods on like chewing on twigs and berries?
Well, I'm glad you got it cut. I
I am
know
too.
it is
And then I got
terrible when
Taco
you
and then
need
I
your
got
hair
Taco
cut.
Bell, obviously.
Oh, good. All is right in the world again.
I was right. That's probably what it is.
It is. But the book that made me bring up Kindle Unlimited
Yes.
is Ninth House, which is available on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm just starting out with it. For everyone who doesn't know, this book is going to become my whole personality. uh,
I'm, I'm honestly ready for this book to be your entire personality because, like, the minute I read it, I was like, this is right up your alley.
oh, I loved it so much. So, Galaxy Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. Raised in the Los Angeles hinterlands by a hippie mom, Alex dropped out of school early and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead end jobs, and much, much worse. By age 20, in fact, she is the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bed, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most elite universities on a full ride. What's the catch and why her? Still searching for answers to this herself, Alex arrives in New Haven tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. These 8 windowless tombs are well known to be haunts of the future rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicos to Wall Street and Hollywood's biggest players. But their occult activities are revealed to be more sinister and more extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive.
Bam.
Bam.
Oh.
All of my conversations that I've had about you with this book is like talking about how many like genres it has in it. And so that's like the main thing you need to know is if you like dark academia, fantasy that takes place in the like present world, horror, kind of procedurals. There's like murder mysteries happening in both of them. There might be something else that I'm missing, but it hits and thrillers, like suspense, just thrillers in general. It's so suspenseful. It feels like you're reading a thriller, but it also like has some of the feeling of like epic fantasy in that it's like a really big journey towards something in the whole book. And I'm just obsessed.
Me too. I also will say, like, I am not the brightest bulb on the tree, but like sometimes things did not make sense to me when I was reading it, and I like couldn't wrap my mind around it, and I was like, but I just kept going, and it still at the end made sense to me.
Good. That's good to know.
So if you feel like you're not intelligent enough to binge on fantasy, like you can get through this, because I did.
Yeah. You did.
I did.
And because you did, I read it.
I read them back to back.
I am too. It's the best.
And then you're just not going to read anything until the third one.
And then I'm just going to be depressed until next year. I'm going to be like stalking Lee Bardugo.
That's okay. I'm already getting a restraining order from Jennifer Hillier, so you can get one from Jennifer Bardugo or Lee Bardugo. Yeah, I loved it.
So good.
Such a good pick. Such a good pick. It also was trending for like a while, so I feel like anytime something like that is trending like that, you're just like, okay,
it must be good.
Let's get down with the darkness.
Yeah.
My pick, like my first one, I feel like I've talked about this, you've talked about this, but like when I saw it on Kindle Unlimited, I was like, there's no way I can't not talk about this book because I love it so much. So my first pick is The Girl Who Was Taken by Charlie Dunley. Which is about 2 girls who are abducted. Only one of them returns. They were not really friends, but they disappeared at the same time. No clues were found, and then a year later, when the one girl who resurfaces has like a best-selling book that comes out, she's doing like Oprah, Dr. Phil, all that shit. And then the other girl who is still missing, her older sister is a forensic pathologist. And she's just basically waiting for the day that her sister's body's found, because if you're gone for a year, like there's just no way that, you know, you're coming home safe and sound like the other girl did. So they end up getting a clue and basically go on this like adventure to, well, not like a not a ninth house adventure, but like it's just a
No.
journey trying to figure out what happened or where she is. Um, but basically, as the book progresses, you find out that the girl who survived kind of knows more than she's leading on. Some of the details in this best-selling book about her experience aren't necessarily accurate, and there's like a lot more to the story.
And it's amazing. And you'll want to read
So
all of
good.
Charlie Donnelly's books after you read it.
So good. I just couldn't stop. I really want to read it again.
Every time we talk about it, I'm like, why have I not read it again yet?
Same, same. Because I think I have it
So,
on my Kindle and I have it like in hardcover and like
yeah,
paperback. But
right.
yeah, every time I'm like, ugh, why can't I just pick that up again?
I know.
And I think there's a new cover on the Kindle.
I saw a new cover when I was looking at it on
Yeah.
the Unlimited store.
hmm So
Yeah,
I
it's kind of cool.
was like, yeah. So that's my recommendation. Uh,
Yep.
Twisty. I just love like when people investigate cases that like were pretty much forgotten about that they like didn't have any clues on, whether it's like a
Hmm.
year ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago or something. I just love that. And I also love a missing persons case. So when you combine the two,
Yes.
solid. And this
Yes.
one does both of them justice.
Yes.
Good old Charlie.
I love it.
Hmm
Yeah, Charlie Donnelly, you'll become a fan immediately and you'll just
Yeah.
want to read all of them.
hmm
I'm so
Yep.
excited for his one in March.
Oh my God, I know, me too.
I have a recommendation that it has teenagers in it too.
Oh,
That was the best I could come up with.
I like it.
There is a teenage female in this book is my
Mm.
segue.
hmm
But it's Under Her Care by Lucinda Berry. So in Alabama, the mayor's wife is brutally murdered. And standing next to her body is 14-year-old Mason Hill, the autistic son of former Miss USA Genevieve Hill. And the locals are all pretty much like they think he did it. The town detective calls in local autism expert Casey Walker to consult on the case. And at first, Casey's trying to keep her mind open, but the more she's around Genevieve, the more her unease grows. And she suspects that Genevieve is doing more than just protecting her son. So Casey's misgivings about Genevieve are kind of confirmed when she meets her 19-year-old daughter, Savannah. And a lot of disturbing secrets of their family life are brought to the surface. I lost my spot. Oh, so as Casey dives deeper into the Hill family dynamic, her search for the truth leads to another shocking murder, one that shatters her understanding of the human condition in ways she never imagined. It is such a dark, twisty psychological thriller, and it's really good.
I need to read it. I need to
Mm-hmm.
read it. I really like Lucinda Berry.
Yeah, I do too.
She's
I
really
need to read Off
hmm
the Deep End.
Yes, you do. So good. I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed that one. Um, I also want to point out too, some people are sensitive to this when there's an autistic character in a book, but Lucinda Berry was a psychologist prior
Yep.
to becoming an author. So she does have, knowledge of autism and things like that. It's not just an author that's using their imagination and writing an autistic character without really, much
Yeah.
research or anything like that. So, um,
Which goes for some of her other books too. There's
oh
some
yeah, yeah,
stuff that where yet the fact that she uh it was psychologist or psychiatrist, I can't remember which one, I think psychologist,
I
it
think so
really
too.
helps how real her other books feel as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, she's fantastic.
She's so cool.
She's
And she
very
has a
dark and
lot on
twisted.
Kindle Unlimited, so like that you could start with any Lucinda Berry book and there are a bunch of them on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah, it'll definitely be like a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
hmm Yeah, she's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm. Speaking of something you could go down a rabbit hole with,
Mm-hmm.
my pick is The Drowned Girls by Lorith Ann White, which is the first in a trilogy. So if you like it, then you can get the other two on Kindle Unlimited as well. But this one is such a chunker and it's so good. I just love the pacing. Um, it says he surfaced 2 years ago and then disappeared. Detective Angie Pallarino never forgot the violent rapist who left a distinctive calling card, crosses etched into the flesh of his victims' foreheads. When a comatose Jane Doe is found in a local cemetery, sexually assaulted, mutilated, and nearly drowned, Angie is struck by the eerie similarities to her earlier unsolved rapes. Could he be back? The body of a drowned young woman floats up in the gorge, also bearing marks of the serial rapist, and the hunt for the predator becomes a hunt for a killer. Assigned to the Joint Investigation Task Force, Angie is more than ready to prove that she has what it takes to break into an all male homicide division. But her private life collides with her professional ambitions when she's introduced to her temporary partner, James Maddox, a man she met the night before in an intense anonymous encounter. Together, Angie and Maddox agree to put that night behind them, but as their search for the killer intensifies, so does their mutual desire. So, my initial hesitation when I read this book is
Mm-hmm.
was comparing it to other romantic suspense
Mm-hmm.
where the suspense felt very like the thriller aspect kind of felt like cable TV,
Yes.
and the romance was like a little cheesy.
That's a good way to describe it.
This is like romantic suspense on HBO. Like you get like
Nice.
nitty gritty, dirty, like all of the good stuff. Like she doesn't hold back with the violence. I really respect people who write crime fiction and don't hold back with some of the ugly things that can happen in the world. And they
Right.
don't take like the cheap way out. Like they're not like, oh, she
Mm-hmm.
was hit by a car and, nobody found her in this ditch. Like she's like, these are some of the horrible things that happen to
Yes.
women. These are some of the horrible things that sadistic men who don't go to therapy are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, enjoy it for what it is in crime fiction, but also be
Yeah.
hyper vigilant if you're a
Yep.
woman. And also be self aware if you're a fucked up man. Go to therapy instead of killing women.
That is the
Also,
PSA.
possibility that you might fall in love at work if you're a cop. Go ahead.
Right.
So, that is my recommendation. My friend Cindy recommended this trilogy to me, and I like binge read all three of them. I just love
When you talked about it, I can't remember when. I would
them.
just like downloaded it because I have Kindle Unlimited and I keep seeing it and I'm like, I'm gonna get to it one day.
I was initially drawn to them. I'm not even gonna lie about this, but I was initially drawn to them because the covers are fucking
They're very
gorgeous.
beautiful. Yeah, I
They're
love them.
gorgeous. And I love when you have like a series or a trilogy or a duology and like the covers like kind of like match up. Like you
Yeah.
can tell that they're, related
Yes.
to one another.
Yeah.
So yeah, The
I
Drowned
love
Girls
them
by
too.
yeah. And everybody will love Angie Pallarino.
Mm-hmm.
She's a badass detective.
I'm just gonna read all night. I'm just gonna have some espresso when we get off this. And I'll just stay up all
No,
night.
no, you're not.
No, I know. I
You're
can't.
going to drink some water and you're going to give in to your desire to sleep and get a good night's rest.
I know. I know.
Doctor's
I know.
orders.
Dr. Gare.
Dr. Gare.
I'm just so happy I met someone who points the way I do because I do it a lot to like
I do it when I'm like passionate about something, like if
me
I'm
too.
like arguing or if I'm like, hey, listen up,
Yep.
let's get
Yeah.
excited. And
Yeah.
apparently it's like triggering to people when you're arguing with them because somebody like called me out for it, even though the person that called me out for it does the exact same thing. But
Of course. It's always like
yeah,
that.
I'm just less condescending when I do it. So I just didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do it a lot when I'm like, like when I like
Yes.
have a great idea or like put something together and Tyler's like really brought the hand into it. I'm like,
I talk
yes.
a lot with my hands. So
I
if I'm
do too.
excited or if I'm nervous or if I'm just
Yeah.
talking, so you can't help that like I talk with my hands when I'm angry
Yep.
too. It's
Yeah,
when you
I
see
just
this
do.
one that you need to fucking run.
That's when you need to worry.
Listen here, motherfucker, when it goes back and forth.
Speaking of serial killers,
Yes.
I
My
know I'm
favorite.
pretty excited. I was pretty excited about that too.
I'm super pumped.
It's actually another series. So you can read so much if you end up loving it. But I picked the second one in the series
Okay.
for Tracy Crossway,
Mm,
by Robert Dugoni. I was like, I
yes.
know I haven't talked about how cool I thought the second one was. So you can go read the first one too. If the second one even sounds good, you probably want to. But
Hmm.
this one was like, I just remember feeling terrified the whole time I was reading it. Um, Homicide detective Tracy Crossway has returned to the police force after the sensational retrial of her sister's killer. Still scarred from that ordeal, Tracy is pulled into an investigation that threatens to end her career, if not her life. A serial killer known as the Cowboy is killing young women in cheap motels in North Seattle. Even after a stalker leaves a menacing message for Crossway, suggesting the killer or copycat could be targeting her personally, she is charged with bringing the murderer to justice. With clues scarce and more victims dying, Tracy realizes the key to solving the murders may lie in a decade-old homicide investigation that others, including her captain, Johnny Nolasco, would prefer to keep buried. With the cowboy on the hunt, can Tracy find the evidence to stop him, or will she become his next victim? It's freaky and good.
So freaky. Hmm. I really want to pick that series back up.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
I have to read a few more and then we can read them together.
I know. Same.
Hmm.
Then we can.
I
We
have to
will.
catch up to where you're at, and I have notes on my phone. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, you need to read this book, and this book, and then you can tell
Okay.
Kate, and then you
Yeah.
guys can read this book, this book. So I have it. I just need to get my ass in
Yeah.
gear and do it. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
I think that that series is one of my favorites in crime fiction too.
I agree. That, and I don't know if they're Kindle Unlimited, but Robert Brenza's Erika Foster ones are really,
Oh
really good.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do love Tracy Crossway. Speaking of things that scare us,
Oh, Robert Brenza is Kindle Unlimited.
there you
So
go.
Detective Eric Foster series is really good too.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I read the first one in that, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. I'm behind on it too.
But if you want somebody else who's unsettling and gives you the creeps and scares you,
Yep.
because all of her books have, my girl Jess Lowry, this year, well, 2022, the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
had a book called The Quarry Girls come out, that takes place in 1977 Minnesota. So love that. I just love, there's something really unsettling too about putting your reader in a position where the devices and everything that you have now you didn't have back
Mm-hmm.
then, so you can't just like track somebody's cell phone. Like people disappeared, they disappeared.
Yeah.
So 1977 Minnesota, um for the teens of one close-knit community, summer means late night swimming parties at the quarry, the county fair, and venturing into the funnels beneath the city. But for two best friends, it's not all fun and games. Heather and Brenda have a secret, something they saw in the dark, and something they can't forget. They've decided to never tell a soul, but their vow is tested when their friend disappears, the second girl to vanish in a week. And yet the authorities are reluctant to investigate. Heather is terrified that the missing girls are connected to what she and Brenda stumbled upon that night. Desperately searching for answers on her own, she learns that no one in her community is who they seem to be. Not the police, not the boys she met at the quarry, not even her parents. But she can't stop digging because she knows those girls are in danger. And she also knows that she's next.
Wow.
So good. So good.
I have to read it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's very unsettling. Jess Lowry's another
Hmm.
one of those authors that does not hold back.
Yeah.
She kind of makes a story that takes place in the 70s a little timely too, because you have the asshole police detectives who are like,
Ah.
oh, yup, she's probably a runaway. Like, you'll be home when she wants to be, or you'll never see her again because she's off making a new life. And you still
Oh
have
my
men doing
gosh.
that today. You still
Yeah, you
have
do.
asshole, and it's always a man. You still have
Yeah.
asshole police detectives being like, oh, like probably a runaway. And I just like the thing is like I feel like if somebody knows you enough to know that you're missing and like it's not right, that like they
Hmm.
know enough to know that you're not a runaway.
Yeah.
You know, like you're gonna go to
Yeah.
the cops and be like, listen, like my teenage daughter, she's ran away before. She ran away again. I just want to make sure she's safe. You're not gonna be like, she's missing and she never does this.
Right.
We're gonna be
Right.
like, oh, she's a runaway.
Yeah.
That and that high risk lifestyle bullshit. If I hear any police officer say high risk
High
lifestyle,
risk.
I'm gonna
It's
snap.
like, well, can you go look for her then if she's in risk?
Yeah. If she's in a high risk lifestyle, then that means she's in more danger, which means you should be taking this more seriously.
Exactly.
But I just also think that like there's no such thing as a high risk lifestyle anymore because literally everybody's in danger because there's so much violence in our country right now.
You're not wrong.
No, you could be a complete introvert who only leaves their house once a month to go grocery shopping and get shot at the grocery store.
You definitely could.
That's what I've learned.
Every now and then I get nervous in movie theaters.
I used to get anxiety in movie theaters for a while
Yeah.
after that. Um,
It's like when they give the announcement that's like, and if you notice anything suspicious, report it. And I'm like, oh, the lights just turned off, and you're gonna remind me, like, hey, if anyone comes in here with a gun, here's what to do.
I live in such a remote area that I don't even know if my like movie theaters have caught on with that and like have started
Yeah.
announcing it. Otherwise, it probably would make me anxious.
Yeah, I'm like, you're just like sitting there, like all cozy in the AMC recliner seats. You're like, I'm gonna enjoy a movie. My dog's not gonna interrupt me. And they're like, if you think someone looks suspicious and something bad's happening, and I'm like, well, I wasn't until now.
Yeah, no one looked like a creep until you said that.
Like, thanks for just activating the anxiety.
Could you also like imagine like okay, so say you go to the movies and like the movie
Hmm.
starts and it's like 2 hours long and you're like you get up and you go and you're like there's this guy in the third row. He's giving me like this vibe. I feel like, you know, if you see something, say something. So I'm letting you guys know like
Right.
something's off about him. And then what happens? They go and realize that like he's not doing anything wrong. He's just creepy. And you have to sit through a 2 hour movie with some guy like this
Exactly.
glaring at you because you're just basically were like, you look like a fucking killer if I've ever seen one.
Exactly. Oh my
No,
gosh.
wait for stream. Unless it's like a Scream movie, I'm just waiting for streaming
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
get it.
But I also have to
Um,
drive very far to go to the
you have to
movies.
drive really far.
I have to drive, well, you know, in the United States, I have to drive like an hour, hour and a half to go to the movie theater. There is one
Hmm.
in Canada that's about a half hour from me. I used to go to it a lot in like high school and college,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna try it again with the new
You
Scream
should.
movie in like a month.
Hmm. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
But, but yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
speaking of
Speaking of
quarries and
characters who don't get shot in the movie theater.
yeah. Like, the cover of Quarry Girls has water in it, and this book's cover is on a lake. So there we go.
Perfect.
But Stillhouse Lake, another series. Did I recommend all series? Nope, the rest of them aren't. I was like, did I recommend all series and not notice it? But it is another series by Rachel Kane. Um, so Gina Royal is the definition of average, a shy Midwestern housewife with a happy marriage and two adorable children. But when a car accident reveals her husband's secret life as the serial killer, She must remake herself as Gwen Proctor, the ultimate warrior mom. With her ex now in prison, Gwen has finally found refuge in a new home on the remote Stillhouse Lake. Though still the target of stalkers and internet trolls who think she had something to do with her husband's crimes, Gwen dares to think her kids can finally grow up in peace. But just when she's starting to feel at ease in her new identity, a body turns up in the lake, and threatening letters start arriving from all too familiar addresses. Gwen Proctor must keep friends close and enemies at bay to avoid being exposed or watch her kids fall victim to a killer who takes pleasure in tormenting her. One thing is certain, she's learned how to fight evil and she'll never stop.
Bam.
It yes. It is like action packed, just like you're just like nervous the whole book.
Whole time. I read the first book a while ago. God, I think like 5 or 6 years ago, I read the first book.
Yeah.
And I am dying to read it again because I want to binge the rest of the series.
Yeah. Mine says I read it in 2017. So
I think
it's
that's
been a
probably
bit.
when I would have, or 2018 maybe.
I can't remember if I read the second one. No, I haven't even read the second one.
Ooh, more buddy reads for us.
I know.
I
Oh.
have a little bit of PTSD with this book
Mm-hmm.
because this is the one that I told you. Her serial killer husband is like the one guy that you would like never suspect to be a serial killer. Like he was like charming and handsome and like the all-American boy, like next door, whatever. Like
Yeah.
anything you could just do to describe a perfect guy. I picked Channing Tatum and people fucking lost their shit.
Oh, this is that one.
This is that one because I was like, okay, I'm trying to picture like, okay, who could play somebody who like you would never believe to be a serial killer? And I'm like, everybody
Yeah.
loves Channing Tatum, and he like
He
nobody would
has like a
ever.
baby boy face.
Yeah, he's like the guy next door, like all American, like handsome, like
Mm-hmm.
every like ladies love him, men love him, everybody loves him, animals love him, and
Finn.
yeah, I was just like Channing Tatum. Nobody will suspect him to be a serial killer,
No.
and people were like not happy.
And what was their reasoning?
I think like they were just like, "How dare you pick Channing Tatum to play him?" Like, and I was like, "Okay, dude. Like, did you
What if
see
he
Christian
wants to play a villain?
Zac Efron played Ted Bundy and did a
Yeah,
fantastic
like,
job?"
right.
Um, Literally, like that's the thing. Like, you don't see creepy janitors and creepy truckers. Those are the
Mm-mm,
people that save you from the serial killer because, like,
typically.
they're usually like Christian Bale in American Psycho. Like nobody was having Steve Buscemi play fucking Patrick Bateman,
Yeah, right.
somebody who does look like a serial killer.
Exactly.
But like I was like
Well,
they
and
were like,
you, like, he does not look like a killer.
oh, I thought you meant
Not
me.
you, the TV
What
show.
TV show?
Sorry.
I was like,
I
oh, I
was like,
only
and
look
then
like a
there's
killer because I'm
you.
not one.
You're like,
I would be the
what?
worst. Like I only like go out. I only like leave my house like one day a week to go have dinner with my friends. So I'd be like the shittiest killer.
No, Joe Goldberg.
No, 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 no. Yeah. But I loved Stillhouse Lake and I can't wait to read it again. So that is a
Yeah,
fantastic choice.
thanks.
Speaking of still,
Mm.
my next pick is a book that is an odyssey of emotions. It scared me, it made me cry, it made me sick to my stomach. It just every emotion you can think of was brought out in this book called Still Missing by Chevy Stevens. It's her first book and it's like the one that like turned me into like a Chevy Stevens stan. I think that everything she writes is fantastic. She's amazing. Props to her.
Hmm.
She's Canadian, she's gorgeous, she's talented, she is gritty and dark, and I love everything about Chevy Stevens. But Still Missing is about a woman who was abducted. Her name is Annie O'Sullivan. She was a 32-year-old realtor. She had three goals the day that she was taken: sell a house, forget about a recent argument with her mother, and be on time for dinner with her ever patient boyfriend. The open house is slow, but when her last visitor pulls up in a van she's about to leave, Annie thinks it just might be her lucky day after all. Still Missing interweaves the year that Annie spent as the captive of a psychopath in a remote mountain cabin, which unfold through sessions with her psychiatrist, with a second narrative following the events after her escape, her struggle to piece her shattered life back together, and the ongoing police investigation into the identity of her captor. So
That
good.
sounds so good.
It's so good. It's so sad.
Mm.
I've talked about something similar to this before with like the book The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix,
Mm-hmm.
where you kind of take those women that they were the last, like the final girl, like the last girl standing in a horror movie, and like
Yeah.
how fucked up their lives are after the credits roll, and like how Grady
Right.
Hendrix explored that in such a believable way. um and this is the same thing. you know you think of a horrible situation, kind of like what I mentioned with the girl who was taken by Charlie Dunlay. Like,
Yep.
people don't go missing and come home a year later, but in this
No.
case, when they do, like, it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just come home and you're like, okay, like, what do I have to
Right.
do Monday morning? What do I like, trying to get back into a routine? Like, you're dealing with extreme trauma,
Yep.
and PTSD, and anything that you can think of that is just like mentally and emotionally horrifying, like this character does deal with.
Mm.
And Stevens did a fantastic job of even these small, minute details, just capturing that fear and anxiety
Wow.
in such a believable way.
It's kind of like, oh, I can't think of it now. The Is it called House? No. I don't know. Room is what I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Because that actually still
Hmm.
follows when they're out of it, and it's not just like, oh, and then I went back to work. Like, it
Yeah.
just doesn't work
No.
that way.
No, there's like, yeah, it's very much like PTSD trauma. I think there might be elements of like agoraphobia in it as well, as
Mhm.
one could imagine. But yeah, there's just
Yeah.
like a lot of things that, and I've thought about that too. I mean, I'm an introvert, I'm not agoraphobic, but I've also thought of like how that's probably why like home invasions are like my biggest fear, because
Oh yeah.
you take that thing, like, I'm most comfortable and I feel like my best when I'm at home relaxing, like in my
Mhm.
environment. Nothing here gives me anxiety or anything like that. And especially the past few years, because
Mhm.
like we've said, like movie theaters, grocery stores,
Right.
school, work, like there's just so many things where people feel unsettled now,
Yeah.
um just trying to live their everyday lives. So,
Right.
being at home, it's like that's just traumatizing too. Think about a home invasion where you don't feel safe in your own home. And they
Right.
explore that in this book as well, because
Oh
it's
my
not just like,
gosh.
oh, I'm not stuck in this cabin anymore. I'm like back home. Like, let me just hop in the shower and crank open my windows for some fresh air. Like, it's just
Right.
every small thing that can give you anxiety just being at home. She really
Hmm.
explores in this. So it's really gripping and emotional.
Got to read that. I read quite a few of her other ones, but
Yeah.
not that one, and not, there's another one that you were talking about. Those girls. I need to read Those Girls and Still Missing.
Those Girls is really tough.
That's what you said.
Those Girls is really, really, really tough. I read that one probably a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
Um, by all means, like, I would definitely, not just for you, but for like anybody listening, I would save Those Girls for last,
Hmm.
because it's the one that deals a lot with like really, really horrible, horrifying things that happen to
Right.
women. And it's very violent and it's
Yeah.
very detailed. So I would definitely save that one for last, just
Hmm.
because if I were a woman, I don't think I would have been able to make it through that book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Consider yourself warned.
Consider yourself warned.
Yeah. But Still Missing sounds really good.
Hmm.
I'm like, my interest is piqued.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
also,
some people might love those girls. I also will
oh
say,
yeah.
like, you might love it, you might not find it as disturbing as I do, but
Mhm.
I just picture myself like it's one of those things that makes me feel bad because I think to myself like I couldn't imagine being a woman knowing that like there are things out there that happen.
Mhm.
Granted, yes, they happen to men too, but
Yeah.
it's not as common. I will
Mhm.
also say though, like sometimes I can be a wimp. I still to this
Oh yeah.
day think that if I were a woman, I would not have been able to make it through the book Go Ask Alice.
I haven't read that one.
It's like it's a YA book and they had us read it in
Okay.
school.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean it's a YA book. Don't get me wrong. It's kind
Right.
of about this girl who starts experimenting with drugs and
Oh
alcohol and
yeah.
the crazy way that it kind of takes over her life and what happens to her. But I would
Wow.
have if I were a teenage girl or a woman, I would not have been able to make it through that book.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot.
it's all personal preference and what you
Wow.
can handle. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But speaking of missing people, my next recommendation is I Found You by Lisa Jewell. East Yorkshire. Single mom Alice Lake finds a man on the beach outside her house. He has no name, no jacket, no idea what he's doing here. Against her better judgment, she invites him into her home. Surrey, 21-year-old Lily Monrose has only been married for 3 weeks. When her husband fails to come home from work one night, she is left stranded in a new country where she knows no one. Then the police tell her that her husband never existed. Two women, 20 years of secrets, and a man who can't remember lie at the heart of Lisa Jewell's brilliant new novel. It's like, it is a mystery, it is a thriller,
so
but
good.
it's like softer.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it is a little more character driven, a little more relational, but like there's still some mysterious stuff happening.
I thought that was so cinematic too.
I liked it a lot.
hmm It was cinematic and what's the word I'm like the imagery in it. Like I could just like picture myself there.
Being on the beach, like, yeah, like I remember there
Yeah.
a lot of scenes in my head from it.
I've never been to Surrey,
Yeah.
but I could picture it taking place in Maine if they like
Yeah.
adapted it or something. Or if you're
Yep.
reading it, like I could like picture being like Maine.
Hmm.
Even I don't know, I guess Maine.
Yeah, I agree. I think Maine
New
would be
England. We'll
great.
say like we'll say New England. It's kind of like when I
Yeah.
read Watching You by her, like I
Hmm.
pictured San Francisco in my mind when
Yeah.
I read that one. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, she's fantastic. That was actually my first Lisa Jewell book.
Me too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're such twins.
We're such twins.
Oh,
And you're such a good girl.
thanks.
Speaking of good girls,
Oh my gosh. I see what you did there.
had to. My last pick of the evening is my girl JT Ellison. Good Girls Lie. Perched atop a hill. I sound like I should be like BBC.
I
Perched
feel like it was
atop a hill.
PBS.
Yeah. In the tiny town. Um, in the tiny town of Marchburg, Virginia, the Good School is a prestigious prep school known as Silent Ivy. The boarding school of choice for daughters of the rich and influential, it accepts only the best and the brightest. Its elite status, long held traditions, and honor code are ideal for preparing exceptional young women for brilliant futures at Ivy League universities and beyond. But a stranger has come to good, and this ivy has turned poisonous. In a world where appearances are everything, as long as students pretend to follow the rules, no one questions the cruelties of the secret societies or the dubious behavior of the privileged young women who expect to get away with murder. When a popular student is found dead, the truth cannot be ignored. Rumors suggest she was struggling with a secret that drove her to suicide. But look closely because there are truths and there are lies, and then there is everything that really happened.
Sounds so good.
So good. So
Sounds
good. If you
very
want, like,
thrilling.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not really like a spoiler, but like it literally like pops off with this like beautiful, like boarding school and you're like dark academia. I think it's like
Uh-huh.
fall or like something, and you're just like, oh my God, this is gonna be so good. And then it's like there's a fucking dead body, like first page.
Wow.
And it is like
I would love
brutal, but
that.
like I just love when people explore.
Mhm.
No, I shouldn't say people, I should say women. I love when women explore the cruelties of what being a teenage girl is like.
Yeah.
Um, because nothing against it. Men shouldn't be telling those stories.
I don't think so.
Like, men shouldn't
Bo
be,
Burnham did one well, was the only thing that came to mind. He produced that 13. Was it called 13?
oh yeah.
I don't need to argue your point. Go on.
No, I think that with that movie though, that was based on Nikki Reed's younger years.
Yeah.
And I think the screenplay might have been a woman who wrote it.
I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong.
Um, unless Nikki Reed gave them like stories.
It was directed and written by Bo Burnham. Eighth grade is what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, I'm talking about the movie 13.
Yeah, 13 wasn't right. It's eighth grade, was what I was thinking.
Well, good for
Anyway.
him. But well, I think with a story like this where it results in murder
Yeah.
and like fucked up things that like teen because there's kind of like I don't know what I was watching the other day. I think it might have been Roseanne. I've been
Nice.
watching old episodes of Roseanne. Sitcoms help me fall asleep at night,
Yeah.
apparently.
Same.
But there was like something where like two women had gotten into an argument and like
Mhm.
the husband was like, I don't understand. And like she's like, you don't understand because like women do things differently than men do. Like if a man gets into an argument, you guys take a couple of swings at each other and forgive each other the next day. And like
Mhm.
sometimes with like emotional people, you will hold grudges and like
Yeah.
things will resurface. And I just think that like when you think of like Ashley Winstead,
Mhm.
um, when you think of the book, is it Lori Elizabeth Flynn?
Or that's what I was gonna say next.
You
Yeah.
think of like
The girls
that.
are also nice here.
Yes. There's another one called Sorority. There's just like it's kind of like a trend. But
Mhm.
I think that women should be telling those stories
Yeah.
because, they've grown up dealing with mean girls, witnessing mean girls, being involved in those cliques, maybe. Um,
Mhm.
but I just think that like when it comes to like stories about like women being pitted against one another, just to avoid stereotypes and get like a realistic look, like they should be
Yeah.
written. Because if a
I
man
get
does
that
it,
makes
I'm
sense.
just like, ugh, like, what do you
Right.
know? You know what I mean?
I know. That's like those hilarious TikToks that are like, I'm a woman written by a man, and they just like do like ridiculous
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. But, JT Ellison is one of my favorite storytellers. And like with this one, it was just a little bit different than her other books because her other books deal a lot with, adult characters. And these ones had like a lot of younger women.
Mhm.
And it was just so good. And it's fantastic.
Yeah, I need to read more of her books.
Yeah. I think I just have to read her upcoming one, and I've pretty much read everything.
I think I have quite a few that I could read of hers still because I
She
haven't read
does
them all.
have, I will say, I don't know if it's Kindle Unlimited.
Uh
I
huh.
don't think it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I'm nervous. She has a short story that is 60 pages
Oh yeah.
called These Cold Strangers. So
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it to everyone. It's 60 pages. I flew through it. It was so good. It
That's
was
cool.
just like a nice little like thing. Well, it's not nice, it's scary. But like it was like a very like enjoyable reading experience. Like, oh,
Yes.
it's just a nice old sweet story
It was so nice.
perched on top of the hill. Ain't no love here, doll. Channeling my inner. That's not Adele. I don't know who that was. It was probably like a streetwalker from like Jack the
Yeah.
Ripper era. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Hmm. 2 pence for a
I
blowy.
uh, so yeah, I need to read more JT Ellison.
Yes,
I didn't
everyone does.
realize Her Dark Lies was hers too.
Hmm.
I've had that one on my like, yeah, I might read this one day forever, and I never realized it was JT Ellison. So
When
I need to get
you when you catch up to like everything
hmm
that you want to read,
right.
or you're in the mood for like a series, the Taylor Jackson series by JT Ellison, I think you will love.
I know. And I know you told me that. I just saw
Yeah,
that cover and I was
think
like,
you'll
oh yeah,
I think you'll 100% love
all
it.
the pretty girls. I was like, I need to read it.
Hmm.
I do
Yeah,
just need to like read a bunch of hers.
yeah. Everyone should be reading a bunch of hers, and they should be reading everything that we recommended tonight,
Literally everything.
and more that we will recommend to be continued.
Hmm